catching this, you're catching the replay. So today we are going to make a Dutch door. And I'm going to show you how to make this Dutch door from your just pre-scored card bases. Very simple to start with this method. So we are also going to be using the Love Blossoms stamp set for this Dutch door card. And what's really awesome about this is it has flowers where you can just stamp the inside colors in, and you don't even have to worry about coloring if you don't want to. But we're going to color anyways today. This is the stamp set that I'm going to use in my March 28th class that goes live right here on Facebook. And so I'm going to show you how to make 12 different cards with 3 designs for each set of those cards. So this stamp set is wonderful. It comes with some beautiful, beautiful sentiments, nice big chunk words, and then you have little sentiments that finish off those words. So today we're going to do thankful to have a friend like you. So we're also going to need some blocks. I'm going to start with my 4x5 block, and that's going to sit off to the side because I'm going to use it to watercolor with. I'm going to need my scissors. I prefer the non-stick micro tip scissors, guys, for fussy cutting. These guys are awesome, very detailed and sharp. Watercolor brush, I have the medium one, and I like this one. It seems to be the perfect fit for me. I'm going to use my Sugarplum shimmer brush today. Beautiful, just to add a little shimmer to this. And we may even throw in some black and white dots from the Story by Stacy line. We'll be using black, New England Ivy, Pixie, and charcoal inks. All right, so let's get started with our card base. We're going to need our trimmer, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it right down the score line. Actually, just past it, like a hair past it, and because I just don't want that bulk on the end of it. This is going to be our card base. Okay, so we're going to put that off to the side. We're going to take this, and I'm going to trim off where that score mark was, and that's just a hair off. And this is going to be our Dutch door portion. So I'm going to turn it horizontal, landscape, move some things up to make some room. And I know that my card base is 4 1/4, right? So I know that I need to make a hinge on this, or a lip, or something of that nature. So I know that I need to cut this wider than 4 1/4, and I'm going to give myself some room. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it at 4 1/2. Now I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm going to bring this in at 4 1/4, and I'm going to make a score mark. So I'm just going to come in like this and make a nice deep score mark. Then I can turn this over, and now I have created my hinge. I'm going to just make this nice and flat and give it a good crease with my bone folder over on the side. So we now have the structure for our our Dutch door, and it's not going to look exactly like this. So I need to cut this down, and I know that I've already pre-measured that I want this at 3.75 or 3 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down here, and now I'm ready to stamp. So I am going to move this out of the way, and I have chosen the big, pretty stamp set, this flower right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And I already have this position because I was playing this morning already. So I know what this is. Normally I would use my block, but today my fingers are a little achy and swollen. Maybe it's the cold weather. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to come in with my charcoal ink, and I'm going to ink this up. And just a nice ink is all that's needed, and I can just simply close my door and press down. This is a little bit easier on my knuckles, but if you don't have this, you don't need it. I'm going to position that back, stamp it again, and it looks kind of high, but don't worry. And I think I'll do it one more time. I'm just not putting enough pressure on the one side. And you do a little CPR, I guess. Okay, that's good. It's not supposed to be a crisp image. It's supposed to be a little fuzzy. So I like, you know, like a water brush kind of artwork. So that's a good stamp. Now, I'm going to put this off to the side. And I'm going to bring my trimmer back in. Now, my trimmer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut the top of this so that our Dutch door, all this white area is missing. And that's what's going to make it like a twist or a little bit unique and something that you don't really see a whole lot. When I had this idea pop into my head, I went to Pinterest and I was like, okay, Pinterest, you know, give me some ideas, give me some pointers, like, let me see what other people have done. And I could not find a card like what I had in my head. So as we create this, it's going to kind of be new for both of us. So I'm going to use the guide on my trimmer right here to find where I want my stopping point. So I kind of want to stop right here at this leaf with my trimmer. So I'm going to use the marks on my ruler here and the center point on my scoring or my cutting blade. So I'm going to stop about here, and that should give me right where I need. And now I can just bring this over and then I can stop. I'm going to use this mark right here, which is 3.5 as a stopping point. And that just helps me get a nice even line so that when I fussy cut the rest of this out, it ends up looking like this. Isn't that so cute? Okay. So this is where those micro tip scissors come in. These are really, really great scissors for cutting. They are very sharp. And if you decide to cut and you've already gotten adhesive down onto your project, these will cut right through that and they won't stick. I love that. I don't know about you, but I've gotten plenty of scissors gummed up when I have an overhang and I need to do some extra trimming. And that's one of the features about these scissors that I absolutely positively love. It's wonderful for me. Okay, if I can just get my fingers to work here today. So as we fussy cut this out, you can decide how much of a border you want to leave. Do you want to leave a big border? Do you want to leave a small white border? It's up to you. Lord. Okay, there we go. Now we've got it. Now, and you can decide too when you're doing this how much of a fussy cut you want to come in. And so you want to make sure that you're turning your project and not your scissors. I find myself constantly, as I'm cutting, turn the paper, turn the paper, turn the paper, and evidently, if you can watch, I end up turning my hand almost at some point during, like right there, my fussy cutting process. But you know what? It's a handmade card, and I think that's part of the love of it. So this just takes a little bit of time, but I think it's well worth it at the end. So we're just going to kind of come through. Boom. Okay, so we have left, it's a little messy. I'm definitely going to trim that up later. So what we have left is a nice area to put a sentiment. So we have, okay, I have to trim this up right here. I can't leave that just hanging. Okay, we have, in this stamp set that I'm using today, we have a lot of things to choose from. So we have thank you, fabulous, thankful, my heart, loved, and lucky, and then these little pieces that go with it. So down here we could choose, you know, we could stamp my heart on our base, which is this part right here, and then down here we could put breaks with you at this difficult time if we needed a sympathy card. So let's go ahead and do that one. Sympathy cards are something that I don't have on hand very often. So let's just go ahead and do that. And then I'll have one on hand when I need it. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this on my 1 by 3.5 inch block. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a little line etched in here. So if you need your stamp to be straight, you use that line as a guide and you'll have nice straight stamps Now I can't guarantee that when you push down, but now it's on there nice and straight, and it's a little dirty, so don't mind that part. Okay, so I'm going to come in with some of the black ink, and I'm going to ink this up. Do a little twist, twist, tap, tap, and that gets it nice and inked up. I'm not worried about that because when I stamp, I'm going to go straight down, straight up, so that's not going to transfer to my paper, my project. I say that, right? And I'm going to kind of come up and make my sentiment bleed a little bit into my flower. So, and now it's crooked. Straight down, straight up. So there we have this. Now, here comes the fun part. We are going to get out our watercolor brush. We're going to use some Pixie ink. And we are going to, I'm going to show you how to paint this on. It's such a fun technique. So I'm going to use my 4x5" block. I'm going to ink this up real nice and juicy. And this just takes seconds, you guys. It does not take a long process to do this. I'm going to add a little bit of water right here to my block on top of this. And now I kind of have, you know, a mock watercolor palette, if you will. And so now I can come in and I can just, now this isn't watercolor paper, so you're going to have to be very, very, very gentle with how much you're putting on here so your project doesn't warp. But you just come in and you can just, now the stamp set will do this for you. It will 100% do this portion for you. I just thought it would be fun to kind of do this on camera and just show you a different way of adding some fun color to your project quickly. So I'm going to come in with my little craft rag. Now I'm going to add some New England Ivy ink to my block. It's nice and clean. And I'm going to do the same thing. Don't need a whole lot, but I did put more on there than what we probably need. And I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves. Put a little bit of water on here, mix that up nicely. And if you feel like you got too much in, you can just kind of brush it off a little bit and then just go to town. Very quick, not a whole lot. You know, this makes, if you're not a colorer, or perhaps maybe you're not very good at matching up the images on a stamp layering set like this, this is great. Look how wonderful that colors through, and it looks like you spent so much time on that. Love that. So let's just color these leaves really quick. This is the other one that I have. Just really quick, look how nice that is. Now, if I want to come in with a more concentrated thing, I can come in with the dark right here at the veins. And then what I would do is let that dry and then come in again with a wetted down version and not so concentrated. You get a little too much on there, you can just dab it off. But if I come in while it's still wet with more, it's going to warp my paper, it's going to bleed, it's not going to look as, you know, professional, if you will, as it would if it wasn't dry. So if I let that dry and I come back in, and this one too, I let it dry and I come back in with a more concentrated, I can get those veins real nice, deep. Let's see if I can just kind of, without messing it up too much. You could also use your alcohol markers, like we have that nice Shinhan line. I probably mispronounced that, I always do. But just adding just a little bit in there, and you just bring those leaves to life when you kind of just do it that way. Just be careful because, like I said, it's not watercolor paper, so you do take the chance of it warping or bleeding or smudging way too much for it to have a really pretty effect. So just to kind of get some of this ink off my brush, I'm just squeezing it until the water comes out clear, and I am ready to use it on my next color. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside and we're going to finish creating our card. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my block and my Versamark ink. This is when I was playing earlier. I'm going to bring in that My Heart stamp, and again, I can use that line down here. I'm just going to eyeball it and throw it right in the center. That's not the My Heart one. Did I already get that one out? Look, guys, I'm losing my... There it is. I just can't read upside down. So I'm going to come in with this, and I'm just going to eyeball it and kind of center it right here on my block. I know that this is going to be here, so I know that I want this to be about here, and I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss this. So I'm going to make sure, I have to make sure that this right here doesn't have any static on it, because I'm going to be using a black embossing powder. And Ranger, the one that I'm using is Ranger. You can get it right on the Close to My Heart website, either your consultant or you can come through me and get a real embossing buddy. Don't DIY it like I do, because it makes a mess. But you're going to come in with this black, and black is really, really tricky to work with. It doesn't always stay off the areas you don't want it to, and it can be a little blotchy, but I think it'll be worth it. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink. I'm going to try and center this as best as I can. Straight up, straight down. Try not to rock it. Oh. And now I'm ready to put in my black embossing powder. You can see where I was playing earlier. So you just want to give it a little tap, and it will get a little bit of that extra. But if you can see here, even though I have put some static cling on here and this paper wasn't used for anything else, the black kind of just hangs around on the outside. He just doesn't want to go. So that's probably the only thing I can think of about the black. So if you have a dry artist paintbrush, like a very small one, you can very gently go through and get some of that off. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to try and move my gun fast because I don't want this to warp. I'm going to come in from behind and help keep that paper somewhat even. There we go. It's like magic when this part happens. So now I am ready to go ahead and assemble my card. The best thing to do is a nice double adhesive, a sturdy double adhesive is what you want on this. I have the Tombow. Tombow does work to a point, but when you have a mechanism like this, you really, really, really want something nice and sturdy. So I'm going to line those up. I put the Tombow right here on this flap. I'm going to line this up over here on the side. And now I have a beautiful Dutch door card. Now I do have some overhang, and the nice thing about the overhang, and I like cutting cards so that it has an overhang so that I can trim it up. I would like this to be more sturdy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with another piece of white daisy, and I'm going to put this down so it has some stability to it, and it also hides the markings for my watercoloring and my flap over here on the side. And what I like to do is actually put some 3D foam tape between the two, and it will build it up. But the basic part of this is done. You have a beautiful Dutch door card. It's got a 3D element. You've painted it, and you have room for your personal message right on the inside. And the other card would look very similar. It would come in and you would say, thankful to have a friend like you. So this stamp set is beautiful. I just love it. It's called Love Blossoms. Find your consultant. Get it from her today. It's only good through March. If you don't have one, I'll put a link in the comments below after the video and tag it, and you are more than welcome to shop through me. But anyways, get yourself, I don't care how you get it, but get yourself the stamp set because it is awesome. You guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me with Coffee and Cards. Bye.